Hello there and welcome to Community Life. Here we talk with the community experts about their life journeys and learn from each other. And today we have a conversation with Jephtah Abu, one of the greatest people in the community world who deeply cares about people and their stories and amplify voices that aren't given enough attention, who transformed his passion into helping young experts in Africa to get jobs and be paid according to their skills by creating Talentpoel. And Jeph is the first person who ever interviewed me in English about what life as a community manager in Ukraine during the war feels like. So, hello, Jeph.
Awesome, awesome. Great to be here. It's very nostalgic to I think it was last year when I did the interview. Now I'm on the opposite end, and yeah, it's very interesting to see the growth we have both made, especially in your career, especially in mine. And yeah, looking forward to having this lovely conversation with you as well.
I was waiting for this conversation so much, and finally we kind of switched seats. So
Yeah,
let's start from the first question. Jeph, you have the brightest smile I've ever seen. And even on professional photos, such as social media profiles where you don't smile, I still see a smile in your eyes. So tell me, where have you got this positive mindset that spreads out even out of your photos?
do you know what's so funny about my social media photo? My partner said I don't smile a lot. Like it's funny because she said I don't really smile. I have a friend that I recently made. She also said I don't smile. And I'm like, I smile, yeah. But the way I see it, yeah, I'm a very, very optimistic person. Like it's in my life, in my personal work, everything I do, I always want to see the best. I've had a lot of situations where it was very bleak, but I think I'm very optimistic because I always believe that it's going to get better. And yeah, of course, sometimes some people are like, why are you always thinking like that? And that's just the way I am. And I think the smile sort of reflects it. Like, for example, I'm sure that period I was smiling, I didn't have a job. Well, nobody knew, but I was still smiling. And I feel like the way I see life is that there are different stages in life. Yeah. I've been in the stage of not having a job to having a very good job to losing a good job to building a company, which I'm doing right now. And in everything, I still carry that optimistic nature to building everything. Like, let's do the best. And I feel it helps with the team as well, because when they can see someone is leading them towards something bright, like, why not? So the smile just reflects the way I am feeling every time. But people say I don't smile a lot, which is very, very funny.
Yeah, it's definitely funny. And also I can relate to your to this mindset, like, being positive about things because, even when the war in Ukraine started and all the stuff, it was always for me to choose a smile or to choose tears. So it was always like more to the smiley side. And I'm curious, do you have a person who you can share your inner thoughts with, who you can be like really very open and like not so optimistic, let's say?
Yeah, yeah. That's a very good question. I like talking in stories here, like giving examples. So I would say before you build anything, especially a startup, have a very, very strong support system. When I started Talentpool, I literally had $0 in my account. I left my, I always leave jobs, which is very funny. I left my previous job, I had zero money in the account. My partner is really amazing. So she was able to help me out. I was able to build a company and I have a lot of friends, not a lot, but I have few friends that I can call like my brothers and sisters, and they came through. And it also made me know that your network is very, very important. Yeah. There are things that money cannot even buy that your friendship can buy, especially in terms of relationships. Like I have people that have come through for me because of just that relationship. So I think they helped. I always call them partners in talent pool because without them, I don't think I'll be able to stand on my own because it was a very difficult period, but with the support, like family, but I'll say I have my partner is obviously one, like she has been there, even if so we always have some small minor issues when it comes to meetings because she always says, my favorite word is I have a meeting now because I'm always doing back-to-back meetings. But yeah, I think she has been my strongest support system so far. And like shout out to her. I know it's not easy being with a founder because the time zones, the working hours, they are crazy. But I would say that's someone I really trust and someone that I can always fall to like to talk to as well.
What is the difference for you between network and friends?
Awesome. Good question. I'll say your friend is someone that has seen you in your most vulnerable state and has been with you. That's what I would call a friend. But I'll say your network are a group of people that you know, that you leverage each other's relationship to either grow or scale. So your network can also transition to becoming friends. But the way I see friends is when something bad happens, like those people, they pull through for you because it's easy to say, I'm your friend when things are all gloomy, there's money coming in. But when things get really sour, that's where you know who is with me. And those are people I see friends at. Like I don't joke with that word friendship. And I'm very intentional about people I bring into my like circle as well.
How do you allow somebody to cross the border between networking and friend?
Hmm. I would say it's still that vulnerable stage, yeah. Like every human being has certain walls, yeah, because we don't want to get taken advantage of. But once you can see someone in a vulnerable stage, or state rather, and come true for that person and like be there for that person, I can consider you my friend because I will share things with you. I'll be vulnerable with you, you know things. So I always say the truth is I have nobody in my network that is my friend, like if I'm being plain, yeah. But I have a lot of connections. Like I have so many people. I've never been to the US before, but I'll definitely go on very soon. But I have so many friends like speak to like text, and that's just from my network. But yeah, we can transition to becoming friends. But right now, all my friends are people that have been with me through bad, good, sour, and yeah, we consider each other very, very important in our lives.
Am I hearing it correct that if there is a person who you feel easy being vulnerable with, you can call this person a friend?
Hmm. So it's not really being vulnerable with exactly, but if it's like what's the word? If it's reciprocal, yeah. Like if I can vulnerable with you, you can be vulnerable with me because it's not now like if I'm only vulnerable with you, I'll feel like, this person knows me too much, yeah. So like let me run away. But if it's reciprocal, you can be vulnerable with me, I can be vulnerable with you. We know that okay, we have shared a common topic or we have shared a common interest and we can talk about it. We can be vulnerable with each other. So I'll always say that in a way it's transactional, yeah. And it's not every time that your friendship will be 50-50%, yeah. Some days it might be 70-30, some days it might be 80-40. And that's just how life is sometimes.
And you told about like if you can be vulnerable with somebody and person can be vulnerable with you. So it means like, somebody has to do this first step. So usually, are you the first person who do this first step or you wait for somebody to do it?
I'm very okay, how do I describe myself? So I had to learn empathy. I think that's something that I learned because I always used to use this phrase, it's not that deep. Because the way I see life, like I don't let a lot of things get to me. I think that's where I was brought up as well, with like my family. I let it slide, like I just let it like I can talk about it later. So I'm not a very expressive person, but dealing with people, I realized that okay, I have to express how I feel. I also have to make that connection. But recently I'm trying to be the one to reach out. Normally I'm always like frozen because people used to call me very, what's the word they use? Like robotic. And I'm like, that's the way I was brought up in a way, yeah. But of course, you have to learn things as a human being, you have to evolve. And empathy is something that I'm very, very interested in. Like I was intentional about learning how to be like empathetic because the truth is that even if I say it's not deep, it's actually deep to someone else. And I have to learn how do I make that person feel. So yeah, I'll say I'll be the one to reach out this time. But of course, I have to weigh my options to see, do I really trust this person?
Okay, so you mentioned your family. So let's start from the beginning. Tell me about your parents. Who are they?
A very interesting conversation. I think this will be the first time I've spoken about my parents. Yeah. So my mom is someone that she's very, very entrepreneurial. I will always say I like my mom, even if I hate to admit it. Because growing up, I saw my mom build a business to millions. Like she had one of the biggest business is where we were. and in like newspaper articles carried her. And I used to tell her I can never do this. Like it was too much work because from Monday to Sunday, she'll be like at the office. Like after we come back from church on Sunday, we'll all go to the office. I used to hate it. I'm like, why can't I just watch cartoons? Like, why am I here? But I didn't understand then. She also used to force me to come for leadership conferences. I was like 18. I was not interested in all of that. She would force me to speak. So I used to like clash. I'm like, I don't want to go out. I hated going out. I hated meeting people. Like I use that word hate because I was very introverted. Like I didn't used to talk to people, but she always used to like push me to talk to people. And yeah, it rubbed off on me. Like I didn't know. I used to deny it, like, no, I'm not like her. But the truth is that we share a lot of similar traits, especially in ambition. Like I'm very driven. She's also driven.
Mhm.
And my dad, yeah, my dad is what you call book smart. So he's very like book smart. He's an accountant and he's like, if you give him words and he can dissect it for you. So both of them sort of complement each other. My mom is street smart, my dad is book smart. And I think I got
Mm.
a bit of both. And yeah, I think that's just it. But yeah, I always used to tell my mom that isn't it funny that how I kept on rejecting going out to speak to people, and literally that's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, I feel like it turned out very well.
When was this moment when you turned from, let's say, closed introvert to more this networking person?
To be transparent, I'll just say one word, yeah, and money. I needed money, yeah. So I don't want to like give a whole speech and like to be motivational. I needed money, and to need to like make money, you have to like come out of your comfort zone, yeah. So I'm a very introverted person. Even till now, most people don't know that I actually don't like. I'm not comfortable with crowd settings, but I know how to manage it now. Like I'm very shy, but if you meet me, you think I'm the most lively person ever. But yeah, I think I wanted to make money, and I realized that for you to make money, you have to make a name for yourself. Yeah. I can't make a name for yourself by being quiet. Like you have to like literally talk for you to know who you are. So it took me a lot. I can remember the first ever what's the word? The first ever event I did for
Hmm.
Tiffany. I think it was Tiffany. It was so like funny. When I look back, I was sweating, I was nervous, like it was just crazy. And I think it made me learn and also feel like, okay, I've grown from that person to this person. So yeah, I would say that's how I decided to like become active in the space.
You told about your mom that she is street smart and your dad is book smart. And from your perspective, like what works better, being book smart or street smart?
Hmm, hmm. Interesting. I'll say no one works because you need both in different situations. Like if you go to school, you definitely need books smart, yeah. Then if you are like in the streets, you need that street smartness. So I'll say having the best of both is like a better option than having one. Because in Nigeria where we are, a lot of people are street smart. So you have to like learn, you have to learn, okay, what are the things to do, what are the negotiation skills, all those things. Those are key. So I wouldn't say having one, I'll say have both if you can.
What is your preferable way to learn?
Hmm. I'll say talking to people like you. It's funny that how I learned community management was literally through conversations. Like before I got into C school, I used to talk, I think at that time, I used to talk to nothing less than 10 people in a week, like just talking and exchanging ideas, like just talking. And I still do that now. That's how I was able to build talent pool by talking to people that were my competitors to understand, okay, how do you position yourself? How do you do this? And yeah, I believe more in exchanging ideas by connecting with people. So if I check my network, I have a lot of people on my network that I've never met, but we talk
Hmm.
and we
Hmm.
learn from each other. So I think it's a very interesting way of learning. I think I call it peer learning rather than like going. That's where I learn by peers, like talking to people.
I feel like it's a part of street learning, you know? So on the streets, yeah, still talking. Yeah, yeah, I understand there is this like distinction between, and talking about your, okay, so usually I'm not trying to use the word community never, but I will use it here. So talking about your community journey, have you ever thought of other community builders as competitors?
Hmm. I feel I've never thought of it like that. I feel like I see it more as helpers. Yeah. Every community manager I know always wants to help. I don't know if it's inbuilt, yeah, or if it's like part of the orientation, but every community manager wants to help compared to other industries. Yeah. The difference I've seen, because I don't know if I've mentioned, is next year I'll make it 8 years in tech. And the amazing part about my career is I've done a lot of things. I moved from cybersecurity to front-end development, to digital marketing, to social
Mm.
media, to community. So I've seen different verticals, but for community, it's different. There's this sense of what's the word? Should I use community ship? Like everyone wants to help each other. So I hardly see competition. I always see helpers. Like if I know someone that needs help, like come try. And I think a lot of community managers are like that. Most of the communities I've joined, they always want to help out. And yeah, I don't see us as competitors. I see us more as helpers.
And now you are moving to the startup thing where there are a lot of competitors. So how do you feel about them?
It's a very interesting thought process, yeah, because or startups, like most startups have different business valuations, they have different unique selling points. But with Talentpool, I see ours as our market is big enough, yeah. Even if we can, like this year, I've not said this, but by September, we're approaching roughly $10,000 in MRR, which is amazing for a company I just started in March. But that's not like a huge selling point for me. My huge selling point is the fact that we're able to pay people in Africa higher amount of money that they will earn in Africa. You're providing a better standard of living. And I feel like that's something that you can't compete with. Giving people jobs, even if a bigger competitor comes, at the end of the day, if it's money driven, you start making decisions that sort of hinder that. But with Talentpool, I'll say I welcome competition, to be honest. I'm a very competitive person. And I feel like the fact that a lot of competitors in my space means that I chose a right company to start. So that's the way I see it.
Got it. And let's move a little more to yourself. So tell me about your childhood. What is the first memory that comes to your mind right now?
One word again, cartoons. So my spare time, I love cartoons. Like I love anime. Like I love watching anime. Like I feel that's the only thing I do that gives me sort of like relaxation, apart from going out with my girlfriend. But anime is really, really what I love. And I don't know, I just like watching cartoons because I see it as inspirational, yeah. The fact that you're able to see like this moving illustrations, like, and they can achieve anything they want to do. And I don't want to be all motivational, but it sort of inspires me, to be honest, especially seeing cartoon characters. So I try not to be so serious with most of the things. I'm very playful, like I'm very, very playful. But when it comes to work, I can be very straightforward. But yeah, on a normal day, I'm very playful. I watch cartoons a lot. And it makes me like feel young, even if I'm growing old, it makes me feel young.
What was your favorite cartoon?
I'll say I don't know if anyone, maybe people in Nigeria will know this cartoon. My favorite cartoon was this Ben 10. That was my favorite cartoon because he had a watch he could change to aliens. I used to watch it a lot.
Uh,
So that was my favorite cartoon.
what was your favorite alien?
Should be Heat Blast because he just had fire and fire burns everything. So I even had a watch. Like I still like cartoons, but I just transitioned to anime, and I think there's a big community of anime lovers in Africa. So I'm excited to also meet them as well.
Do you learn anything from cartoons?
There's a lot you learn, people don't know. There's this cartoon on Disney, I think they stopped it, called Phineas and Ferb. So I learned
Mhm.
actual facts from cartoons that wait, it's actually words that are real. And I learned like I know someone that learned how to speak Japanese, like part Japanese, just from watching anime. And it's crazy that most of the facts you see, they're actually real. So you learn a lot. Like at the end of the day, I try not to let that child inside me die because I know with the corporate world, with capitalism, everyone is so serious. But at the end of the day, once you have that inner child in you, you learn that, okay, I can always be playful, I can always work. And I feel having fun at your job is something that is key. And I do that at Talentpoel. Even though we work crazy hours, it's still fun. We had a retreat last week. We ate, we talked, we spoke, we met each other. It was fun. So I always try and bring that element. And I think cartoons help me still remember that, okay, yeah, I have that inner child in me. Because if I stop watching cartoon and I went straight for the corporate life, I feel like I'll be a very, very intense and boring person.
I'm asking so much about cartoons because I love them myself, and watching them, I kind of used my kid as an excuse to watch cartoons, but now I do it openly, and I can really learn so much amazing human things. And in these Pixar cartoons, Disney cartoons, they always made it that way that you can learn a lot, and always they avoid this violence, the sex stuff, and etc., what you can see in movies. So there is, I believe that there is an art of like given the right message in such an amazing way. So yeah, I totally relate to your love of cartoons. And yeah, if you ever watch something, please share with me.
Definitely, definitely, I will.
You recently wrote that I'll never forget the words, great ideas don't choose you, you choose them. And reflecting on the countless conversation you had with Otto Lloyd before you embarked on your journey. So who was the first person in your life you had important conversations with?
I'll definitely say my mom is like, of course, when I wanted to try, I feel like with me, I've done a lot of risk. I've taken a lot of risk in my life. I think one of the biggest risks I ever took was when I was let go from a job. I got another job in a week, yeah, and I left that job when I like after 18 days just because of I hated the environment. And why it was risky was because I needed to pay my rent, and that job would have given me money to pay my rent and move to a new city. But because I couldn't just stay in that environment, I quit my job 18 days later and I moved back to my parents' house. And 1 month later, I got another job. So I always take big risks. Like, I don't know why, but I always feel like at the end, it's rewardable. So I'll say my mom, I have deep conversations, man. Of course, like we had a lot of conversations when I was starting my company, even when I started like the corporate world. And I think it's always good because she has been in business for a while. So I always see from her perspective. But right now, I talk to my partner a lot. I call her my mini business person. I always exchange every month. She's like, why are you always talking about business? I'm like, who else would I talk to about it? So we talk a lot, we exchange ideas, and yeah, I think those are the two people right now I talk to for my ideas and important conversations. Oh yeah, and my friend as well, my roommates, I talk to him as well.
What is one conversation you had with your mom that impacted you and let's say kind of like made you who you are right now?
Hmm. Okay, that's deep. That's deep. I'm trying to remember which one. Which one? There's been a lot of Oh yeah, it was definitely after I quit my job. 18 days later, I moved back into my parents' house because I didn't want. I think the thing about it is that I felt like I'd failed. Yeah, because like I moved out of my parents' house. I had a job. I lost the job. I got another job, and look at me. Like in less than 1 year, I was back. So I didn't want to go back. Like I was spending a lot of money on hotels. Like I wasted, and I just felt like, you know what? It's just time to like surrender and throw in the white flag and come home. So I think when I got home, we had a very interesting conversation. I didn't want to have it. I tried to dodge it. I told her I needed 1 week to think about it. She's like, nope. So she sat me down. She told me a lot of things. She said, at the end of the day, you're not a failure for what happened, yeah? But how you react to failure makes you who you are.
Mm.
And it's key because I feel like it's not possible for you to win every time. Like it's not possible, but how you react to failure it's key. And I even bring that element to talent pool because I how we reject people is not just telling you you are not good enough, but telling you why. So I'm telling you why
Yeah.
to see you to improve yourself. And most people don't know that. Like every rejection comes with feedback. We rejected you because of this. And once you can accept the fact that failure is part of success, you can't separate it from every successful person. They always fail. And once she had that conversation with me, I feel like my mindset changed. And I realized I don't see failure as anything. Even when we message people and they don't answer, I see it as part of the story. And I always say it just makes the story sweeter because 5 years from now, you look back and you're like, I messaged someone, and the person told me to get out, but we are in a better place right now.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, when you told about risk, when you told this word risk, I was like immediately trying to understand how do I feel about risk. And for me, when I see something risky, it's always I have this feeling at the bottom of my belly, like, and I'm kind of petrified for a second, and then like, okay, so what can I do? And then the moment I'm start doing something, like there is more and more and more interest, more and more excitement. So how do you feel about risk?
So recently, my mom actually told me that it's a gift to like for the way I have take risk. I didn't know it. I thought it was something normal. Like to me, quitting that job was normal. Like I've taken a lot of risk, and I'm like, wait, that's actually tricky. Moving to another city without any plan. Like, but I feel that's the way I am personal wise. Like I weigh my up. I don't even weigh sometimes. I just see this situation. What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? And but I didn't know it was a big, like it was something that was people can't do. Like me changing career paths, I've changed careers more than 4 times, and I like it's brought me to this part. But I would say that how I handle risk is just my personal, like it's the way I am, and it's not inbuilt. I tend to take calculated risks these days because, of course, when you want to build a family and it's different, yeah, than when you're on your own. Because if you take a risk, it affects only you. But I would say that's just why like my personality is always like very ambitious. So I know that sometimes I have to like take big risks to succeed.
What do you like the most about Africa?
Hmm. I'll say the people. Yeah. Like I've met some of the most amazing people. And the thing about Africans is that even when we go outside Africa, we still recognize each other. There's that bond. I think the only problem that we have, or the biggest problem we have in Africa is mismanagement, yeah, of funds by like governmental bodies. So we have a lot of wealth in Africa, but people are not seeing the wealth because the government is corrupt and they keep like
Mm.
taking more money. But the people are still like trying. I admire every African person trying to survive because you have a lot of people that are trying to fend for their family. I'm sorry for bringing it back to talent pool, but I feel like that's why talent pool is here because the fact that you can pay someone in USD and pay someone well in Africa, the person can provide for their family, the person can get a better life, and that is something that's it's bigger than you and me. Like it's bigger than any money making scheme. It's impact on like lives, and I feel like that's it. And the people are amazing. I'll say it any day. They are very talented. Like there are some things I say, I'm like, how can you do this in education, in sports, in music? Like Afrobeats now is one of the most played genres of music in the world. And that's just because Africans are very talented, but we just, our funds are just mismanaged by government. That's just one of the biggest problems we have.
Yeah, I can really relate a lot to it because it sounds very similar to Ukraine, and nobody didn't know anything about Ukraine before the war started. Now, like, oh, Ukraine, we know about them, but they still know nothing about people. And I'm curious, at what moment you understood that you want to help others, that you want to impact people's lives?
Awesome. So I think I just gotten my first job, like remote role at, was it, I can't remember. Was it Ahoy or the Web3 company? I can't remember. But after I got it, I was so excited. Then I got the next one. Then I started networking and meeting when I realized that I was privileged and a lot of people were not. Like I was earning roughly almost my last role, almost 80K. per year as a
Mm-hmm.
community manager. That's a lot of money in Nigeria. But I couldn't hide from the fact that, or I couldn't like blind my eyes towards what was going on around me. Like if I go around for events, people are looking for jobs. So at first, I started referring because I've been in that position before. Like I always say, throughout 2020, I applied for nothing less than 10 jobs in a day. And I think every African person, especially even Nigerians, can relate. That application process is very stressful. Like it's like a full-time job. So I understood it. I understood failing, I understood what it took to like make it. And I'm like, it shouldn't be this difficult, yeah? Like because you're in Africa, it shouldn't be a disadvantage. It should be an advantage. So I'm like, how do we change that narrative? And I think that's why we're building Talentpool. And the growth we are going to see in the next 2 years is going to be amazing because of just our value proposition, what we are trying to do, and also the quality of the talents we have.
Yeah. What was the last time you've done DJing?
Woo! I was actually talking to someone about this, yeah, that I actually want to go back. Yeah, I want to get like a mixer and everything. So the last time I actually DJed was at a party in 2016, my friend's party. So it has been a long while, but I miss it. I want to learn more. And if possible, I know I can be a professional DJ, but like running a startup first, it's its own ups and downs. So let me finish or get to a point where it's stable. And definitely those are one of the things I'll do. Like I love music. Like my friends are always saying, why am I always listening to music? Because I just love hearing melodies. I don't like silence because sometimes when I want to think, I can take a walk. When I want to like do some work, I'm always with music, like always with music. So I definitely love music. And I think that's why I was a DJ. Like, but I miss it. I really miss it though.
What kind of music do you like?
Of course, I have to be partial and say Afro beats, but I listen to rap a lot.
Exactly.
Hip hop, I listen to hip hop a lot. J. Cole, I love J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z. I love all of them. Mick Jenkins, Joey Badass. I also listen to a lot of alternative music, like indie
Mm-hmm.
bands. I think Lady Antebellum, music that is calm too. Then a bit of slow music like R&B, Chris Brown. But Afro beats is always my go-to. And of course, gospel music. Like I love like gospel music as well. Like I listen to it a lot to like lift my spirit and when I'm in a mood to like make me feel happy.
You know, when you are coming back to DJing, definitely reach out to Max Pete because that's exactly what he is love doing. I bet you have a lot of things to talk about. And yeah, on that conversation about you being a DJ, you shared that on the first party, so you have a very memorable experience. It's the first time you DJed at a party and you hold a special place in your heart for it. So why the first party you DJed holds a special place in your heart?
So it's funny because that was the first and last time I ever DJed.
Okay, got it.
I used to DJ in the hostel. Like I just used to like, so like you're actually very good. And I'm like, nah. And my friend was like, you have to do it at my party. And I'm like, no, I'm shy. Like, he's like, no, you have to do it. And when I did, I saw people dancing and I'm like, okay. They're actually feeling like my music. And I think, yeah, it was the first time and the last time. Because I think the next day I had issues with my laptop and I was like, you know what? That's the end. But yeah, I used to learn like just for the fun of it. I used to do it in the hostel where I was in school, like in university, just be practicing. People used to like actually come to the room to dance.
Yeah.
And everybody, you are good. But I'm like, nah. So that was the first time and last time. That's why it holds a special place in my heart.
You know, you told a few times about how shy you are, and also now you told that somebody told you that you are good, and you're like, nah, it's not that way. But and I can totally relate to that because you know I have this feeling that I'm not enough, and people are just I don't know what is it, but people just want to please with all their good words. So, is it a moment when you learned how to praise yourself and how to, let's say, give what people tell you as it is without this, like, nah, no, I'm not good. You're just telling your kind words.
Hmm. So two things. I have a very bad habit, yeah. I don't respond well to praises, yeah. Like I see it as just plain. Like so I get a lot sometimes. I'm proud of you, but I'm like, I'm just doing what I love. But I think the second one was I realized that I shouldn't let what people because before I used to let what people thought about me. Like I'm very, if you tell me something, I think about it, yeah, and I analyze it. So I used to let it get to me, but I realized that I can't let people get it to me like that. So
Mm.
I sort of motivate my own self, like my work, what I do. I always tell myself, I always say this phrase, and my mom taught me, wherever I enter, I always say I dominate my environment. And dominating means that you can't see I'm shy. Like if I go and speak in a stage, I lose that confidence, yeah. But I'm really shy. I'm like, people. And I think once I started doing that, I just became like better as a speaker. I think like speaking at events, I just always say I dominate my environment. And domination is like you do eye contact with people, you shake their hand, you don't look down. You have to lose confidence, but it's something I'm still learning. But I'll say the first one is I'm very bad with praises. Yeah. I'm very, very bad. Like I don't see it. And I think I should, like, I always should tap myself on the back. People are like, you have done a great job. I'm like, I'm just starting, so I don't see it yet. But I'll say I'm bad with praises, but it's something I want to learn to actually give myself like, hey, you're doing a pretty good job because it can when you're going for a goal, you can forget the little like milestones you hit. And I always try to like see what did we achieve this month? What did we achieve last month? How do we grow as a team or as a person? And yeah, I think that's just the way I handle compliments from people.
Do you ever celebrate your milestones?
Truthfully, nope. I feel like I've achieved a lot for my age, yeah, but I don't see it yet. Like even last year, I think I spoke at nothing less than 50 events, and that's something that I should be proud of. But I feel like I can always do better. So that idea of I can always do better sort of hinders me from praising myself because I'm like, okay, but how I praise myself is I buy ice cream for myself every time. So if I do something good, I know okay, this one I was stressed. I just go and buy ice cream. So that's my like self reward. But apart from that,
Yeah.
really should it's a bad habit. I always say it's a bad habit because I'm always just moving, like always moving. I can do best, I can do better, I can do better, and I just keep it going.
Welcome to the perfectionists team. Or not even perfectionists, but to maximizers team.
Definitely, definitely. I'll say I should learn to like celebrate milestones, but I feel like that little ice cream. Or
Yeah.
I'm going for on Saturday. I'm going for ice cream because I did something like the meetup we had was successful. So I'm like, okay, let me reward myself a bit with like small ice cream.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Hmm. There's this one I saw. Is it pistachio or what's the name?
Mhm.
What's the name? It's caramel something. I love it. So I like. There's this place in where I am in Lagos. They sell gelato. Yeah, it's very very
Mhm.
interesting. I love the taste. So I always go there, hands and wings. Shout out to them. They do an amazing job. Like, so I think that's why I always go to get ice cream from anytime I'm like, do something good or celebrate a milestone.
On your Twitter, there is stated verse Jeremiah 29:11, which stands for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So how do you personally understand it and how does it guide you in life?
Awesome. So I think there's one thing that I'm a big believer of, and it's faith. Yeah. So that phrase, Jeremiah 29, verse 11, I have it everywhere around me because sometimes when things are going bad, people think that, okay, someone is out to get them or God doesn't love them. But once I understood that verse and I personalized it in terms of God always has good thoughts for me, it changed my approach in life because even if I'm going through something bad, I know that the thoughts God has for me is always good. So it helps me a lot to navigate. Even if something bad happens today, something better will happen tomorrow, just because of that thought process. So it's a constant reminder that God has plans for you every time. Like he always thinks about you good and he never think evil about you. And yeah, it's a verse I hold dear to heart because, like I said, when shit goes bad, people forget and people like focus on the negative. And I don't blame them because I live in a country like Nigeria where a lot of bad things happen and is beyond your control, like government, like mismanaging funds, riots, all these things, inflation, but it can get really challenging, it can get really bad. People lose faith, people lose hope. And I don't blame them because everyone wants a better life. But that verse is something I hold dear to my heart that no matter what I'm going through, yeah, God always has good thoughts for me. And that's just the way I am with my life, my business, everything. And it really helps me like move on to the next phase and like stand up and walk again.
And how did your mindset changed to meet bad things in your life?
So I see bad things as inevitable. Yeah, they will definitely happen. Like it's life. Life will never, it's never a straight, it's never linear. It's always, by the end of the day, there's a destination, there's a goal you're heading towards. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer of everything happens for a reason. The fact that you're rejected today, when I look at my life, when I see like a little gist I'm not telling anyone, most of the companies that, let's say I worked with, they closed down. Yeah. And some of the ones that I wanted to work with, they closed down as well. So I always think about it. Of course, it's not their fault because the tech industry, the way it is right now. But when I think about it, imagine if I'd gotten that job. This year I'll be jobless and there will be no talent pool. So there was that rejection, that's working with startup founders, that environment that made me angry and like, why are things like this? Let me change the system rather than complain. I'm like, let me do something about it. And that's why Talentpoel came into existing. So I feel like it's everything happens for a reason. You might not see it now. But when you look back at your career, you're like, okay, it's good I didn't get this job, but it's good I was rejected because I was able to learn. And I feel getting rejected makes you more hungry and makes you want to learn more because I was rejected every day. And I'm like, you know what? I must get this remote role. Like, why are they rejecting me? So I'll work on my CV, work on my resume almost every day. I'll keep sending. And eventually it paid off. Like, it really paid off. And I got a remote job. I got everything I wanted in a job. I got money. I was able to go to a new place. And just with that consistency and that mindset that they're not rejecting me because I'm not good enough. It's just because I've not learned what it takes to get this role. And you have to constantly learn. You have to constantly adapt. If you just get angry when people reject you, I feel like you have a lot of work to do. Yeah. You have to think, okay, why did they reject me? What can I improve on? And that's what made me into the Jeph I am today. Those rejections I got throughout 2020, people telling me not good enough. We don't want to hire you. It motivated me, and now I'm in the position where I'm hiring people. So I also give them that feedback that it's not you, yeah. You're not just at that position yet, but you get there. Just keep at your craft and keep working on it.
Thoughts of a Madman. What is that about and how did you come up with it?
I knew this was going to come to light of day. So Thoughts of a Madman, yeah. Most people don't know that I'm a published author. Like it's a book I wrote like for poems, yeah. Like it's very, you were able to do your research. It's very hidden. Most people don't know I wrote a book last, like I don't even know when. And I was probably 2022 and I published the book. So it was a period. I used to write a lot, yeah. Like I have a gift for writing. So I wrote Thoughts of a Madman. I was meant to publish the next book, but I just lost and maybe the energy, but the manuscript is still there. But Thoughts of a Madman was basically a collection of poems, like from two sides here. If you notice in the picture, there are two faces, one that looks sane, one that looks normal. So you're seeing it from two perspectives. How will a madman write a poem? How will a sane person write a poem? So that was the idea. That was the thought process. And yeah, I always say, people will never know I wrote a book, but it's interesting to talk about it and like the achievements I was able to like do with Thoughts of a Madman.
Got it. Okay, so I need to read it. When I will read it, I will come back to you.
It's very, very intense. I've been told very, very intense. But yeah, You can enjoy it and let me know how it goes.
I will read it. I will come back to you and I will empower you to finish your second book. Okay, so Jeph, I really wish to have the sky as the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So let's jump to the rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Yeah.
CMX or community club?
Community club.
Have a mentor or be a mentor?
Be a mentor.
Cartoon or movie?
Cartoons.
What are your favorite color and song?
My favorite color should be, I don't have a favorite color, to be honest. My favorite song right now is Baptize Me by An Endless Ocean and T.Y. Bello. That's my favorite song right now.
If you were a superhero, what superpower would you have?
Definitely reality warping powers, the ability to warp reality into anything I want. That's the power I want.
Who do you learn from in the community world? Name just one person.
Who do I learn from? Who do I learn from? I'll say Jenny. Jenny is really amazing. Like I learn from her a lot. And she has a consulting firm, so we talk a lot. So I learn from Jenny.
Name two people who I should definitely reach out and invite to community life conversation.
Definitely my co-founder, O2. He's an amazing person. He has sales experience. He's good. And I'll say Margaret, one of my mentees. She's also an amazing. So I think you have a lot of interesting touch points with Margaret and O2.
Totally. Is there one question that I definitely should have asked you but didn't?
What's my favorite food?
Exactly. So what's your favorite food?
So there's this thing in Nigeria called afang soup. Like I love afang soup a lot. I eat it almost every day. It's very bad. Like it's not healthy to be eating just one. But afang soup and like eba, I love that. If you want to get to my heart, that's try this meal to like let me listen to you and I'll be best friends with you. Afang soup and eba.
Got it. So now I know how to be best friends with Jeph. Okay, Jeph, I enjoyed our conversation so much, and you were talking about so many things I can totally relate to, and I feel so many things in common. And still, even though some people are telling you that you are not smiling, you are still very, very positive person, and I feel like you're smiling a lot. And just getting this deeper part of you, deeper part of your story is making me super happy. And thank you very much for your time and for this conversation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity as well to talk about. This is the first time I've talked about my personal life, so it's very different and I enjoyed it as well.
And I didn't ask all the questions I wanted, so get ready for the volume 2 somewhere in the future.
Definitely. I would love to come back here again.
And yeah, thank you very much and see you in the community world. And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friends. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.